Hey everyone, welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Cody and I will be your host for the next hour. As you can see, I am by myself. If you are at all familiar with our show, Drawing a Blank, typically I have my illustrious host, Voodoo Val, with me, but she is actually in a land far, far away on a very important mission. However, I believe her comm link is open for chatting, at least, hopefully, she might pop into the Behance chat during the stream. But today, we are actually going to be working on something a little bit different, I guess. I guess it's going to be a little bit different because I'm by myself. But since Sunday is actually going to be the first day of fall, I thought our theme should be a little bit fall related. If you've never watched Drawing a Blank, by the way, basically this is a show where you are actually my art director and you guys will get to vote on a few different topics for involving in my theme for today. And so if we hop on over to Photoshop, I can show you guys what our theme will be. We're going to be designing a bit of like an autumn character together. Hey everyone, before we get into that, I guess I should say hi. Hey Katarina, Jack, Umacorn, Ray, hello, Robert. Good to see you guys. Oh, there's Val. Val's in the YouTube chat. Speaking of the YouTube chat, actually, if you guys want to pop on over to the YouTube chat, that is actually where we will be doing our voting module. As Val likes to say, if you pop out the chat, you can actually just like have a separate voting module if you prefer to be on the Behance chat as well. So you can just have both up. But we're actually going to have 4 prompts today. Typically, we only have 3, but I thought I'd throw in an extra one just for the heck of it. Elisandra said, did you change your hair, Cody? It looks great. Oh, thank you. I actually cut it myself. Yeah, I decided one day to just like cut 4 inches off of my hair. So yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. He wears a farmer or Victorian gentleman attire. He's holding a lantern slash basket of foraged items, and he has a squirrel slash bat friend. So our final product is going to be any combination of all of these options, depending on what you guys end up voting for. So I'm super excited to see where that ends up landing. I kind of tried to keep with mine and Val's theme of like one option of spooky and one option not spooky. I did my best, Val. I hope you're proud of my quote unquote spooky options. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how we end up here. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. I had a little bit too much caffeine today, so my hands are shaky. But thankfully in Photoshop, we have our best friend smoothing tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like start kind of warming up a little bit here. I'm going to move this down here. So yeah, we have our first prompt voting module up into the YouTube chat. So if you guys want to go check that out. Yeah, so for like the Pumpkin Man option, I had an idea of kind of like doing like a headless horseman type guy where he's like has like a body of a man but a pumpkin head. I don't necessarily know if it will be separated like the headless horseman, but we could do that if you guys would want to. That would make it extra spooky. So typically when I warm up, I hope this is big enough for you guys to see. I have a tendency to sketch really small, and it doesn't always show up on stream. So if you guys feel like I'm drawing too small, let me know and I'll try to like zoom in and stuff. I hope you guys are doing well today, having a fantastic, what day is it? Wednesday? All the days of this week are running together for me. Typically when I warm up, I just do some just very simplistic shapes. I guess because when I draw characters, I have a tendency to kind of do my character like heads and torsos kind of squoval shapes, like or like rounded trapezoids or rounded squares. And that's kind of like the default shape that I start with. So I have a tendency to just like warm up with very simplistic like triangles, squares, circles. I also will draw parallel lines to kind of like just get my hand-eye coordination warmed up. Hey, Gus, good to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. Wow, it looks like Fox is winning by a long shot. I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought you guys were going to go for the spooky option. Kane says, what's your pen settings like? Is there a certain pressure setting that works for your drawings or sketches? I just have the default pen settings. I'm using a Wacom Intuos Pro. This is a medium. And I believe, I mean, I haven't changed any of the settings. If you can change pressure settings, honestly, I have no idea how. So they must be, they must be the default settings. And I'm using let's see, Happy HB pencil from Kyle Webster's Mega Pack, the drawing box. And if you would like to download Kyle's brushes, all you have to do is when you have the brush loaded, all you have to do is right click and then press the gear icon and then go down to import brushes, or sorry, get more brushes. And then it'll open up your browser and you can actually download all of his brushes for free if you have a CC sub. Keith says Pumpkinhead Man too common these days. Gotcha. It's played out. It's played out. I see. I also really like to do like squiggles or zigzag lines. I'll do a lot of those just because a lot of my I do a lot of like squiggle lines in my work just for like detail work and stuff like that. Zigzags as well. So I kind of just like, again, I'm just warming up my hand-eye coordination. My fingers are kind of cold. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and just say first poll is ended, and we're just going to go with Fox because it's at 80%. So I think that that's like kind of a landslide. So we can move on to the next one while I start kind of just like working out the main like character, just like rough anatomy. But the next poll is going to be he wears farmer / Victorian gentleman attire. So head on over to the YouTube chat to vote in that poll as well. And I am going to go ahead and get started on this. And I'm also going to turn smoothing up because like I said, my hands are like super jittery right now. I always make the mistake of having too much caffeine before a stream. It's never a good combination. Okay. So I am just going to do, let's see. Actually, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Don't want it on so much, especially when I'm sketching. I try not to turn it on too much that it's dragging. I do really like smoothing turned up really high when I'm trying to draw like a curly animal tail or something like that, like a mouse tail. I'll turn smoothing up and I can do a really nice curved line like that without any bumps. But when I'm like super loose and rough and sketching, I don't really need to have smoothing on too high, but sometimes like my hands are so jittery, I just like I can't even draw well, you know? Okay. Also, me and Val will both be back next week. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say what we're going to be drawing, but it's going to be like we're all kind of like doing a theme that day on Adobe Live. So keep an eye out for that. So me and Val will actually be doing 2 weeks in a row of drawing a blank. So that's fun. We don't normally get to do that. It's always a lot of fun when we can do back-to-back weeks. And the better half of the show will be back, so, you know. So we have maybe a little fox guy going on here. I have a tendency to draw heads before I draw anything else. I don't know if that's weird. I feel like I always heard that you're supposed to draw like the body first because like that can help with making the pose more dynamic, but because I don't really tend to draw dynamic poses, and maybe that's a part of it, is that I draw the head first, but whenever I try to draw the body first, it just never works out for me. I don't know if any of you guys are like that too. I don't know if this looks more like a cat. Kind of looks like a cat, but maybe once we add the little fox tail, it might look less like a cat. And then I'll do the head on one layer, and I might, I use distort a lot to kind of like just stretch out, because my drawings have a tendency to be like skewed one way. So I'll use distort to just stretch out the drawing. And then I'll do the body on a separate layer so I don't accidentally mess up the head too much. So I don't know what he's going to be holding yet. He's either going to be holding a lantern or a little basket. So Victorian gentleman clothing is winning. But we will give it a little bit more time here until I finish his little body. So yeah, I don't know if he's going to be holding a lantern or, what was it, a basket? Yeah, a basket. Maybe we'll do like a basket of like little mushrooms or something like that. But I can update the pose for whatever he is holding. Val says he's going to be so dapper. I hope so. Whether he's a farmer or a Victorian gentleman, he will be dapper. I also have a tendency to forget to put in my tails, my animal tails. So I'm going to do that right now before we move on to anything else. A cool trick about tails too, it's really easy to forget that the tail actually starts in the middle of the back. It's really like when I was first drawing animals when I was younger, I had a tendency to like start the tail out here. But then you forget that like actually the tail doesn't really start there. It actually starts here. So from the perspective of looking at the character from the front, you wouldn't actually see the whole tail. And that's something that I always seem to forget when I was younger. And now I don't forget that. Now I just forget to draw the tail completely to begin with. So but if we are drawing a little foxtail from the middle here, you can draw through. That term drawing through is basically drawing the parts that you wouldn't always necessarily see, but you can always just go back and erase those. So like drawing through for tails is really helpful. So I'm going to draw this tail up like this. And I might lower this middle line or this lower line more. And maybe we'll just get a nice little hook there. So now, as you can see, like they're really the whole, like we're really only seeing like 2/3 of the tail because the rest of it is being covered up by the body. So then we can just go back and erase the rest of this. And now it's in the right position. Okay, Victorian gentleman again is beating out by almost 80%. So I'm going to go ahead and go with our fox gentleman. And let's see, what was the next prompt? I don't even know. I have to show Jack what our next prompt is. He's holding a lantern / basket of forage items. So lantern or basket is going to be your guys' next option. Shall I give him a large top hat or a tiny top hat? That's also going to be not a real poll, but you can put your answers in the chat. Bonus options. Funny enough, since he is going to be a dapper gentleman, he is not only going to have a foxtail, but he is going to also have suit tails. So he is actually going to have 3 tails. Gonna give him a little suit jacket. Bacon says large top hat. How large? How large? That's the real question. Really, really large? Like absurdly large? I also wanted to ask you guys, if you, I don't know if any of you have had time to think about this, but feel free to put your opinions in chat. But I wanted to ask if you guys had like the perfect drawing a blank theme, what would it be? Because me and Val, we're always looking for your guys' opinion. We want to know what you would like to see on this show. And if you guys have any ideas, like it doesn't even have to be a fully fleshed out thing, but just like, oh, I want to see you guys draw this one thing. Put it in chat because we always love to see your guys' opinions on things. Like half the size of his body. Does that mean width or height? Like it's just a really tall hat. He's just Doug Dimmadome up in here with his really tall hat. Here we go. Now I got to zoom out. It's so big. Thank you for that fantastic suggestion in chat, Bacon. Okay, and now I also want to give him some little... He's got some fancy little boots. I'll give him some little pinstripe pants or something, you know? I think I might actually merge some of these layers so I'm not layer hunting so much. I never label anything, so I am constantly layer hunting. Oh, we have quite a lot of votes in the polls. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, Lantern is winning. Wow. Okay. I'm okay. Man, you guys are surprising me, honestly. I was for sure thinking that it was gonna end up a certain way, but you guys are proving me wrong. I am drawing this suit without any reference. I should probably pull up some reference, honestly. I really should, because drawing lapels without reference, mm-mm. He could be holding a walking cane. Oh, he could indeed. Maybe he should. That is the dapper gentlemanly thing to do. We're getting somewhere, guys. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so if he's gonna be holding a lantern, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually going to use myself as a model for how one would hold a lantern. Something like that. Don't mind the terrible, terrible anatomy right now because we can always fix that. I have a tendency, I think, for myself to draw better when I'm drawing shapes rather than lines. I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way, but like especially when I'm drawing hands, for instance, I usually draw a much better hand when I am kind of like just drawing a blob shape and then like sculpting that blob shape down to what I really want it to be. I do a lot of sculpting and I have a tendency to like fix a lot of my anatomy mistakes in the coloring process because for me, my coloring process is working with shape a lot rather than lines. So I'm able to like clean up a lot of those issues later down the line. But yeah, I have a tough time with line compared to shape. Okay, so let's see. Let's draw a little lantern here. I might give him a little bit of a scene as well. Just a simple little lantern. Have you guys started any of your fall artwork yet? I've been starting to see more and more fall artwork coming up on Instagram lately. And I've actually been getting messages asking me if I'm doing a Inktober prompt list this year. I'm actually not going to be doing a prompt list, but it's mainly because I'm actually planning on starting an Etsy soon. I am almost there for ready for launch. But I still have a few more things to do, and I also have to take product photos and stuff like that. But I am almost ready. I plan on releasing everything sometime this coming season in the fall. So I will make an announcement about that on my Instagram soon, hopefully. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I actually have some prints. Here is one of my prints, and I also have washi tape and notepads and things like that, all with my artwork on them. But I'm just kind of waiting for some of my products to come into the mail to finish setting everything up. But we are getting there. So no prompt list this year, but who knows? Maybe next year. I kind of miss doing it. I'm gonna be. I don't think I did it last year. But I always really enjoy it when I am involved with Inktober. It's a lot of fun. Okay, there's his little lantern. Rick says, "Hi Cody, I have a question. Did you draw the pinstripes on the pants freehand or was it shift clicked?" That's freehand. That's why I don't know if you were here earlier, Rick. But a lot of my warm up is actually doing parallel lines. So I just freehand parallel lines a lot of the time, and I've just gotten, I think I've built up pretty good muscle memory to do straight lines on things, but I also just for just my own personal preference in regards to my own artwork, I actually like the hand-drawn look more so than the perfectly straight digital look. I think it kind of like adds character to my work. So like even if the lines aren't perfectly straight, I'm actually that's actually preferable to me in my opinion for my own work. Should we give him eyebrows? Sometimes I give my characters eyebrows. Sometimes it looks weird. I think he looks all right with eyebrows. What are you drawing on now, Wacom? Yes, I am using a Wacom Intuos Pro, and this is a medium size. I have pretty much always I've never owned a Cintiq. I've only ever used a Wacom Intuos. And then for the last few years, I've had an iPad too. So actually, for many years, I used Photoshop exclusively for my drawing program, but now I actually mainly draw from Fresco. The only time I ever draw in Photoshop actually is when I'm streaming. Because most of the time when I'm drawing nowadays is I'm just drawing on while I'm sitting on the couch, you know. So Fresco is super convenient. I really like drawing on the iPad. But I also really love my Intuos too. Have you ever had issues with the shoelace taper issue? I do know what you're talking about. But I personally haven't had issue with that because now that I think about it, I actually did have issue with that with my old Wacom Intuos. But I don't think ever since getting this one, I think this is like my third that I've had in the last 10 years. It's like my second or third one. I don't think I ever had any issues with this one. This is the current generation that they have, I think. I think I've only had this for a few years, or maybe it's been longer. I don't know. Sometimes the years just run together. I'm like, oh yeah, I've had that for a really long time actually. But I've never had issues. Here, let's pull up like a hard round. Let's see if it. Let's pull up the taper hard round and see if it does it. General brushes. Yeah, here we go. I don't ever like really use. Yeah, it is doing the shoelace issue. Yeah, I wanted to see because like for me it's not an issue because I don't really ever use like inking brushes. But definitely with the pencil brush is not really ever been a problem for me because I only use a few brushes. I use the pencil brush for sketching, and then I use like chalk brushes or watercolor brushes for coloring, and that's pretty much like all I do in Photoshop. I don't ever do inking because the majority of my finished work is just solid color. I don't ever do line work. So yeah, it's just never personally been an issue for me because I don't use those brushes. But clearly, yeah, it is an issue with Wacom Intuos. So I wouldn't know how to fix it if that's what you're asking, sadly. Both on my Cintiq and Intuos. Oh, that's so frustrating. Yeah, if it was an issue that was like affecting my work on a daily basis, that would be really frustrating. Kenobi, hello there. Welcome. Okay. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to start adding like a little bit of a scene here. Let's see. Oh, since we have the lantern done, let's go ahead and come back up to here for our last prompt, which is he has a squirrel or a bat friend. So once again, going with the cuddly or the spooky, which one are you guys going to go with? I am going to go ahead and go back to Happy HB. That's the pencil brush that we've been using. Speaking of the pencil brush, when I'm on my iPad, I actually use the default pencil in Fresco. Default pencil in Fresco, raise your hand if you love it, because that is probably like my favorite pencil brush I've ever used, ever. But sadly, because of the way that it's programmed, it's not in Photoshop. Because it's like the way that Kyle Webster was explaining it, it's not it's developed in a different way than other brushes are. It's kind of like actually like generated like as you brush, and that's why it looks so like it doesn't look like a stamp. Like it looks like super unique. Like it looks so super realistic that way. But it works in Fresco and not Photoshop currently, at least. I don't know if they're ever planning on bringing it to Photoshop, but I would be very happy if they did. A super simple way to add should be good now, hopefully. So I will go ahead. Wow. And get back into working. So I think I am going to just start drawing in some little twigs and bushes and things. And also for my fall scenes, I like to draw just like leaves, but it looks like we might be getting a little bit of buffer. Well, I know that is not a tech issue. Heck, later next. Hey everyone, it looks like we might be good now. I think we're having some issues with YouTube, but I think we are all good now, hopefully. Let us know if you're getting some buffer or anything like that, but hopefully maybe with a simple refresh we should be good now. We're back. Yay, Jack. Jack says we're back. Awesome. Hopefully it lasts. Yeah, that's what we all say, right? Always with the tech issues. Okay. I pulled up while we were having the tech issues, I pulled up some reference for his lapel because it's looking a little sad right now, so I'm going to redo that. That's better. Just needed a very quick reference, and that's why I to just Google something really quick, and you'll get those details much better. Oh no, are we buffering again? Oh no! Jack's... Okay. I'm gonna give him a little patch on his hat too. Everything's good. Oh no, don't panic, everyone. Don't panic. We're fine. We're fine. Also, let's take a look at our poll here, because Bat has won again over 80% of the poll. Wow. Okay. So I guess we are going to be doing a little Bat a little bat character. I'm liking these little patches here. I think that adds a little bit more character to our dapper gentleman. Maybe I'll make some of them like plaid or something, you know? Kind of gives a little bit of a scarecrow feeling. Okay. There's something. Okay, let's go ahead and make a new layer, and I'm going to, let's see, how do I want to draw this little bat guy? Something like that, maybe. Ghost in the system? Yeah, I mean, there usually is. I mean, we're coming up on spooky season, so things like that are bound to happen, right? I can't, you know, I'm one of those people that needs to reference my own, speaking of reference, I need to reference my own work sometimes. And like last year, or maybe it was a couple years ago, I drew some bats, and now that makes me want to look up on my Instagram how I drew them. Because sometimes I will draw something a certain way, and then I'll like the way that I drew it, and then completely forget how I drew that thing until I look at it again. I guess it was it was a few years ago. Yeah, I think what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to do a little bit too much with the perspective. And so I think I'm going to kind of just reel it in. And instead, I'm going to, let's see. There. That looks much better. I was trying to make it a little bit too 3D. And I have a tendency to kind of like do that where I'll like push myself with doing too realistic of perspective. And then I kind of have to like check myself and be like, is this really the way that you want to draw it? And that's also another really great reason to use your own artwork as reference too. Can kind of help keep you consistent, I guess. Could have done a walking bat, says Robert. I could have done a little like bat character. I guess that's true. Probably not in the time frame that we have, but that would have been really cute. Like if we would have done, we could do like a little, like give him a little pig nose, like in a little bat character. And then he's got little feets, like a little bat character like that. That could have been pretty cute actually. But alas, we do not have the time. We do not have the time. A little Zubat. Yeah, yeah, exactly. think I'm gonna, maybe it will look better if I do the whole thing darkly colored, and then I'll give him some glowing eyes. But I think within the last, we just have like a few minutes left here. I'm just going to throw on some color really quick. I'm just going to do it underneath the sketch. I think, let's see, just so we can just do like a quick little color comp. We'll definitely do orange. I love doing color comps. I don't do them super often, but I think it's fun to just kind of experiment with what kind of colors you might use for something. Just throwing down color super quick, just to give you an idea of what something might look like. And I'm thinking that I kind of like the idea of maybe his suit being purple or something. This is a very warm purple, but I wish I had time to show you guys my lighting trick, but with the background being light, I don't know if it would really show up very well. I have this uh, something that I love to do. Actually, maybe I could. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna look very good if I try to show it really quick with just these solid colors here. But I really like to take like a really fluffy brush, like let's say like a very cloud-like brush, and I'll take a really light yellow color. And when I want to do like a lantern light, to make everything look like it's glowing, I'll just make a new layer and I'll brush that light in. Again, you're not going to really be able to see it very well because the background is light, but the overlay gives such a nice glow, and I kind of just like do it in layers because the light's going to be lighter from the center core out, and it's going to kind of like gradiate out like that. But here, let me see if I can put in a darker color in the background just so you guys can see what it would look like. Something like that. And it just like using the light like baby yellow color really kind of emulates that nice warm tone yellow that like a flame would. Of course, you could do it with any color that you want if you wanted to have like a green flame or a blue flame or something. But the overlay, definitely recommend using overlay if you're trying to create like a glow effect with lighting. I really love doing that. Let's see. Let's go back to this layer and grab, just keep throwing on this color here. Oops, yeah, that's the right layer. And also, if you're trying to stick to a minimal color palette too, when you have something that's in the scene that is typically like the same color, like for instance, the pumpkins and the fox are going to be orange, just use the same color. The same color, like it's really easy to want to like say, oh, I have this one color for the fox. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to like pick a random extra color for the pumpkins. But if like your goal is to stick to a really minimal color palette, just reuse those colors. It might feel really weird to begin with. I know it did for me. But I knew like in my mind, my goal for my work, I really wanted to work with minimal color palettes. So I kind of like almost trained myself in a way to do that. So just think in your mind, like if you are using a color use it multiple times. And also using minimal color palettes kind of like gets you to think outside the box too. So like for instance, maybe you would use, if you're stuck to, let's say like this purple color, this orange color, and like this blue color, and those are the only colors in your palette that you're like quote unquote allowing yourself to use. That kind of gets you to think outside the box of like, okay, well, a bat is typically black, but I don't have any black in this color palette. What should I use? Well, instead, I guess I'm going to use this blue color, because that's kind of like the closest to black, I guess. It's a cool tone color. It kind of like looks maybe like it could be chromatic black. And it kind of just like, it kind of like helps like liven up your color palettes rather than only using like what colors you would like traditionally think of things to be. So like maybe we'll make this lantern blue too. And maybe we'll make his pants blue because those are the only colors that we have left, right? Just to kind of change things up a little bit here. And I know we only have a couple minutes left, sadly. I'm actually liking this color palette. I randomly chose it, but it's not something that I would normally do, but it's kind of working, honestly. I think it's all right. And then I realized I forgot to paint his tails here too. Something like that. And then, yeah, maybe because we don't have green for foliage, I'm gonna go ahead and use that blue again. Just for funs. It kind of just like adds a little bit of whimsy to the painting, you know? I think I'm gonna make the pumpkin stems this purple color. Thinking outside the box with colors can be a lot of fun. Just like challenging yourself to try something different. All right, you guys. Well, that is the end of the stream today. I'm so sorry we had buffering issues, but I'm glad the majority of the stream was all right. And also, don't forget, next week, me and Val are both going to be back again for another episode of Drawing a Blank, same time, same place, on Wednesday at 11 a.m. PT. Yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for voting in the polls. I really appreciate it. Even though Val's not here, I still had a lot of fun just hanging out with you guys and you know, voting on stuff. It's a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone. I will see you next week. Bye.